up to train every week and jumping goals are going for me.
It's funny actually seeing the same like you notice like the amount of bucks now it's got like you're fun. This is like these bucks and it's got spare people because they like so many people sort of what's Cleveland? Is she still playing or is she
feels like really.
Just
feels like are you free this it's like are you free this got this one all of this.
I feel for young girls though. She's like, yeah, I'll play this week. Back to the bench.
Yeah, that's weird. Oh, so I don't know if she would anymore, but
see how the commentary day goes.
Oh yeah. When's that next?
Not next week, on the weekend after. Yeah. How will she go?
I think she'll be pretty good. Like, I think she'll be a good mix of like what he is.
I'm really hoping she gets it because I'm doing a PhD in Newcastle teaching me stuff and I'm just like she's like I'm getting something pretty so I was really playing a bit. Get her and Renee both on. And it's like this is good to have people that got a bit of that coverage and so
yeah, I think she'll be good. She'll put some snacks in. Yeah, I know. It's different now. 100%. You're coming back. I know. Let's get you on the yeah. You want to go? Top the box and then head up. It was all good.
I heard you missed the after.
Yeah, I did. It was bad. We don't talk about it. When I watch the game back, I skip right past that moment and pretended it never.
Oh, there you go. It was short, so I thought I'd have to skip
So is this check? This is not a permanent feature. It stays up.
It has gotten taller since I heard this is.
I don't understand why they don't have something.
You know that you can.
At least they're working on that three.
Yeah. That makes sense. Actually, it's supposed to be right
Yeah, it's like and they change it.
Wear a headband in your plane.
Oh, I did.
It's really weird if you send each other this rally and why you actually wouldn't feel that tall.
Yeah, actually.
I said it's really weird for her standing and chatting to us because she wouldn't feel tall. Normally I feel like you feel quite tall in most scenarios.
My basketball last night didn't feel tall then.
Who are you playing with?
On Thursdays, my son plays with me. But the other team had like 2 6-foot 80s ahead.
Filled in Pregame 3 weeks ago when I was down in Melbourne for work. And I was like, yeah, it's pretty social. We had these 2 young kids, my boss's son and another kid, and they were just like absolute guns. And that was basically the game team, but this other team had like these 2 Sudanese guys, and they were both like literally, I was looking at them. I was just like, I used to be tall, I was just like, and they were like quicker than me, had like basically had everything over me. I was just like,
I got to the stage now. Even the referee.
I resolved to using the only tactic I had, which was selective fouling, hoping the referees weren't keeping up and they weren't all the time, but eventually they got on to miss that.
I do some of the anyway, just holding on to people.
Yeah, as that sort of stuff. Stepping as they go to step forward, clean on their foot so they go over. Just, good clean football. My basketball. play to your strengths, though.
And a bit of elbow as well.
Olympic not coming in.
You guys can go with it.
Yeah, let's get it rolling. We'll talk some smack. Keep that this one.
He's going to get tight.
Good evening and welcome to Lake Macquarie Regional Football Facility for this Northern New South Wales Women's NPL match of the round in round 16. And tonight it's a fixture that may define the race for fourth as Lake Macquarie City FC play host to Newcastle Olympic. Lake Macquarie have been one of the season's great fighters, although not as much as they might have liked to show for it. A new face in the competition, still finding their feet, but building belief with every week. Coach Gabrielle Blanche has talked often about punching above their weight, and tonight presents another opportunity to test themselves against one of the traditional top four sides in Newcastle Olympic. They will be without some key names, with no Indy Ordino and no Kezia White, which means a thinner squad, but don't count them out. Blanche says they've finally found some momentum despite the start-stop nature of their campaign, and they know what an upset here would mean, not just for morale, but to keep their dreams of a late finals push alive. As for Olympic on the other side, they arrived with their job half done. Craig Atkins' side broke a frustrating run last weekend with a tidy 2-0 win over Broadmeadow Magic, and they've been dominant between the boxes all year but haven't always found reward on the scoreboard. Can they do that tonight? Time will tell. I'm joined in commentary tonight by former Matilda and Newcastle Jets striker Tara Andrews. And Tara, given the context of the table and the contrasting journey of these two sides, this feels like a night where we could really learn something about both these clubs.
Yeah, definitely. I think for Olympic, obviously, they're sitting in fourth spot in this game. If they get the 3 points, that could sort of solidify their spot in the top four. And then I think for Lake Macquarie, they're obviously still searching for points, and they can still, if they get 3 points tonight, might still be able to climb up the table. And I think really important for them just to try and get a bit of momentum. They've been really unlucky the past few weeks, losing 1-0 to Maitland last week. They've battled with teams every week, so I think they're going to be looking to really take it to Olympic tonight.
Yeah, well, as it sits, as you're touching on the table, 11 points between the teams sitting in fourth and fifth, these two sides that clash tonight. A win today for Newcastle Olympic would make that 14, with a maximum of 15 points for Lake Macquarie from here. So realistically, if they want to keep that finals dream alive, they need to take at least 1 point, if not 3, from tonight, the Roosters. Yeah,
that's right. So it's a really important game tonight, obviously, for both teams to try and see what they can do about this top four.
Well, knowing that, let's take a look at how the two teams will line up for this evening's clash. And as we touched on, a few outs for Lake Macquarie, but it's the starting lineup for Lake Macquarie City. In goals, number 40 is Morgan Ross. Number 2 is Sonny Mitchell. Number 3, Maddie Thornton. Number 4, Caitlin McMahon. Number 5, Sarah Casey. Number 6, Arnie Jensen. Number 7, Kimmy Trappett. Number 8, Brooke Summers. Number 11, Emily Loader-Weston. Number 15, Madison Dunlop. And number 37, Caitlin Knight. They are coached by Gabrielle Blanche. And for Newcastle Olympic, it will be a very similar team with just a couple of changes to the one that defeated Broadmeadow Magic last week. In goals again, number 31, Sienna Williams. Gemma House in jersey 3 will be part of 3 players up front. Danielle Nicol in 4, Georgia Hogg in 5, Laura Hall in 6, Elodie Dagg, a key in midfield in 7, Jess Evans in 8. Maddie Howard joins the starting lineup in 13. 15 is Montana Quick, 16 Sarah King, and 35 is Keela Baldry, and they're coached by Craig Atkins. And Tara, again, on paper, it really looks with those couple of outs that Lake Macquarie are going to have a job cut out for them. But we've seen, we were talking about it off air before, they've run it to the ladder leaders in Maitland every time they've played against them. If they can draw Newcastle Olympic into their style of football, which is what they've done against Maitland successfully 3 times, that changes the surface and the context of this game altogether.
Yeah, that's right. And I think these two teams, the last time they played was 0 or draw. So obviously there's a bit of a battle and a challenge between these two teams. And if Lake Macquarie can play their game, I think it'll be quite difficult for Olympic.
It certainly will be as the two teams shape up. There's a little chat and conversation between referee and coaches. Not sure what's happening here. The teams are set up. Looks like it'll be Lake Macquarie kicking off in their predominantly white strip with the navy trim and shorts. And Newcastle Olympic will go from left to right of our screen in their more royal blue.
It's a very chilly night tonight, so it might take 5 or 10 minutes to warm up. Hopefully they've had some really good warm-up before this. It's still a beautiful night for football.
It certainly is. It's a clear, crisp night. We've been the beneficiaries of dry weather over the last few weeks, which has been, touch wood, that it continues. It's not that long ago that you and I were here in absolutely torrential rain for the League Cup final. So we'll see how this plays out. And as I say that, a couple of drips emerge from the sky. That is absolutely the commentator's curse. Sorry about that, Tara. I hope you brought an umbrella. McMahon now on the ball. Beats a couple. Slices through into the midfield. This is a promising run. Feeds the ball out wide for Knight. Cuts back through. Trying to thread it into the box. No real runners present. Both these sides throughout the season, if you've watched it, significant periods of their games. I touched on about Newcastle Olympic before, but they've both had really good build-up play. It's been converting that into goals, and I feel like that's going to be the story. Even last week when we called them against Broadmeadow, it was the same story for Olympic. Was they were getting a lot of going forward, but getting into that attacking third and converting that into an opportunity. It could be about who can do that most effectively tonight. Yeah, that's right. It's the final pass. It's the final decision. So I think, yeah, last week, as we said, Olympic probably had a few more chances that they could have taken, to get more than just a 2-0 win. So I think that will be an important part for them tonight for both teams. Certainly will, as the ball pushed out over the far sideline, and a throw in for Olympic deep in the attacking half. The long throw. Looking for Dag, but couldn't find her as the rain really starts to drift in now. I've absolutely put my foot in this. And guess what? I didn't bring my umbrella this time. Oh, no. Taken shot from range. That didn't miss by far. Olympic trying to land an early blow. Really good opportunity there for Gemma House. Volley just gone over the top of the bar. Would have been an early contender for goal of the week, if not goal of the month, that sort of goal, if it had managed to go in from range. Now, Newcastle Olympic scrambling to clear it from their box, under pressure, they do well. Now they play it around. Congestion in midfield. Quick does well to maintain it. Tries to play it out in front of Bouldery. Mitchell retreating. Spilt. Error in the box. House parries it in off the post. She was slightly off target the first time. She makes no mistake the second. Despite falling away off balance, she finishes that into the bottom left, and all of a sudden Olympic lead 1-0. How clinical is that? She gets the second opportunity and she buries it in the back of the net. A bit of a poor mistake there from the goalkeeper. Obviously just couldn't get her footing right and just, laid that one straight into Gemma House's path. Isn't it funny, it was only moments before that, there was a moment of panic at the other end where Olympic were under pressure defensively, managed to get it out and play it around. And the coaching staff were reasonably positive about that, and it turned out very positively in the end. Yeah, I think that tells us that both these teams are going to be pressing high and they're going to go after goals tonight. Well, Macquarie now with their backs already to the wall early. As we said, they entered this without a couple of their key players in White and Ordino, and now they're down a goal, only a few minutes gone. What can they come up with here? Or will it be Olympic who can turn the screws? They had to fight for almost 45 minutes last week to get their opener in the shadows of half-time. This one's come in the blink of an eye. Yeah, and look, I'm not sure if Olympic are the team where once they get one, there'll be more and more goals to come. So I think, they might be, but I think Lake Macquarie are a team where they should be able to hold off, and they're pretty hard to get past. Yeah, they're certainly showing no fear, still playing out from the back, Lake Macquarie. He's trying to lure Elodie Dag in. It's interesting, we were looking at the formations as they were named when they lined up Olympic, and they had the three players at the top, as we said. You've got Maddie Howard on the left, you've got Gemma House playing in the middle, and then Killa Baldry out on the right. I mean, House was named on the left, but we sort of suspected that they'd slot in and out. But you've got Elodie Dag also pushing up into that top line, meaning they've got numbers pushing forward with that press, as you say. Yeah, and Olympic do that really well. Their top three do sort of interchange, in and out from the right and left and in the middle. And then the same with their midfield. They always rotate quite a lot. They push into the forward line, they drop back, and it's actually really hard to defend. Certainly going to be a handful for Lake Macquarie's backs tonight. Now, Olympic roll it out towards this right edge. Baldry on the ball. Nice little 1-2. Can she reel it in? She does well. A strong touch going down the line. Sunny Mitchell, tenacious, and comes back and gets it. She's been a standout in all the games I've called of Lake Macquarie this year, Sunny Mitchell, her defensive efforts. As assistant referee says last touch comes off Sunny Mitchell there, and it'll be a throw in for Olympic. King with the throw. Baldry tries to cross it in, but skews it off the outside.
It's always such a good time commentating in this location because we get to hear both coaches, telling the players what to do and a bit of action. So I really enjoy this spot.
It's very different dynamics depending on which games you're at. There's some games where teams are much further away from us. There's others here. Blacksmith is another one, especially some of the ones where they've got more temporary sort of setups. Broadmeadow, obviously, you're well up above, so you get some things that float up every now and then. Cook Square's similarly sort of elevated and behind what is now the away bench. Maitland have moved away from sitting in front of the camera, mostly because of live microphones, I believe. Which is fair enough. Some of the things that you sometimes say in frustration, you might not want to get on the microphone. But yeah, it is, you can hear everything, even the conversation, the communication out there on the field, because we are so close here. It's King on the ball. Tries to take it on, but plays it through the legs and across the sideline. It's a long throw. Baldry does well, manages to hang on to it, gets the pass back for King. Picked off, though, by Summers, who plays it down the line in front of Knight. It'll be a foot race, Knight v King. King will get there, uses superior size to body out. Can't find Baldry with the pass. So the Olympic coaching staff really involved in the throw in there. That's how close the proximity is. The ball threaded forward here, looking for Howard. Well out to it, Morgan Ross. An interesting story, Morgan Ross. When Taylor Gray got suspended earlier in the year, she was out of action at the same time as sinus surgery, so didn't get an opportunity to step up from reserve grade. As Arnie Jensen plays on through his legs, takes a shot from range to the back post, and it's an equaliser for Lake Macquarie. What a finish. Arnie Jensen just sliced through them like a hot knife through butter, played it over to the far post, and it was a tap in at the back post for Lake Macquarie through their captain in Brooke Summers.
What a fantastic goal that is. Arnie Jensen was so determined to get through a couple of plays there. Great ball across the face of goal, and Brooke Summers just buried that one in the back of the net.
I think there was a couple of Olympic players that pulled up because they thought she'd miscued a shot. But she had two runners at that back post. They knew what the play was. And Jensen's been a good pick-up for them this year, one of their two American imports, Sarah Casey the other. Both really strong in terms of their pedigree coming across from the US, and she showed all the touch and guile that she had there, and being able to weight that sort of ball perfectly like that is not an easy task.
No, and Jensen's definitely scored some goals of the round this season as well with that left foot.
Speaking of players that can score goals of the round, House slicing across field, they feed the ball in. Nickel couldn't find a target, and now it's turned over. There's the goal scorer in Summers, and it's interesting. I did hear her in the warm-up talk about how she's going to score a goal. That's not how it was, so I'm looking forward to when she gets her second in a little while. Now the ball threaded wide for Knight. Lobs it optimistically forward. A number of Olympic players, and taken on the volley there by Trappett. Couldn't get it on target. So headbands are the fashion accessory of the day for Lake Macquarie. Sarah Casey with one on. Trappett with one on as well. Arnie Jensen often wears one as well. So
maybe it's the good luck charm or the superstition.
Well, Arnie Jensen didn't need hers today, so look, at the end of the day, I'm all for whatever you need. Any extra layer in this weather might be handy, I would have thought. Maybe we need to get some, some beanies or something. I'm not sure how you can go. You can't quite play in a beanie, but,
No, I think I'm seeing another pair of gloves tonight too.
Yeah, I did notice that after, yeah. They obviously getting on board of my critiquing of the fashion, and they thought they'd make a point. Clearly, well and truly overestimating my influence on the game. Laura Hall, the other, and here she is on the ball, just like we meant that to happen. So Hall and Dag, the two. It does make our job a little bit harder because we can't use them as the identifying feature now.
Well, Dag did get a goal last game, so maybe that was the good luck, and Laura Hall's looking to do the same.
Hey, what a threaded ball there from Georgia Hogg. Edge of the 18-yard box. Now lobbed in. The back post. House up against Mitchell. Just trying to hold it up and wait for someone to present. King tries to come for an option. They've done well. They've threaded it into the box, but no targets there for Olympic that could get a boot to it. Not completely cleared. Hall's here now. Pushes it wide. They're having to retreat through quick. All the way back, and Lake Macquarie pressing. Now cleared long and forward. Evans gets it on the volley, chips it back forward. The bounce beats her teammate in quick. Dunlop turns it round, and now they chip it forward, and it's going to just roll away over the sideline for a throw in near halfway for Olympic. We'll talk about it in the lead-up, Tara. Obviously, last week's game very disjointed, and a big part of that due to the surface there at Magic Park. But playing on the synthetic here, you get the true run, the true bounce, and you can see that both teams are able to construct a lot better build-up play.
Yeah, I think it's a lot better to watch in terms of football. Last week was more about which team could just deal with the pitch the best. So tonight it's a bit better to obviously see both teams being able to play out, being able to play through the lines. King
does well to read that. Races forward now. She's got Mitchell on her heel, threads the ball into the box. Nice turn there, but couldn't maintain possession. Baldry. Now just prodded forward in a clearance for Lake Macquarie. Evans pushes it forward, looking for King. Jensen gets a boot in and fires it away over the sideline. A pass down line for Baldry. Jensen. Hall sweeping across to try and close down lanes. It's driven forward, threaded through nicely for Summers, who lays it off. Thornton chips it forward for Knight. King's been getting through plenty of metres end to end so far and does well to track back and take that away. Quite impressed early with Sarah King. She probably didn't have as much involvement the other night, but working in that wing-back range and even getting forward, presenting options, some of the passes she's putting in and then getting all the way back as well. She's got through, as I said, a fair bit of territory already.
Yeah, she has, and obviously there's a bit of size discrepancy with her and Knight, so she's been able to sort of win that battle so far on this right-hand side.
I was looking at her like very tall and broad for a wing-back, like probably more traditionally built as a centre-back or a striker might be. But looks pretty comfortable with the ball at her feet. She's quite pacey as well, considering the build. So doing quite a job there. They've got a little bit of height down this side as well. Baldry another. The ball spills out and they get away with it. Olympic and spits to the far side, and all of a sudden everyone has to track across to the left as Danielle Nickel ranges forward, lays it off for Howard, who hasn't had a lot of involvement. Most of the play been on this side for the attack for Olympic, and she's dispossessed and it's fired down the line. Looking for low to Weston, but it's sent back through Hogg. Comes off a Lake Macquarie player, and Olympic will get a throw in the attacking third.
We spoke earlier, after Olympic scored, whether they were going to keep that run and keep going, but, Lake Macquarie fought back into this battle now, and we're at obviously 1-1. I think from here it's going to be a really interesting game with sort of who takes control, and it's been end to end so far, so it's quite exciting stuff, and it will be who can get that next goal.
Yeah, I think that line you just used there, who can take control. There's a handful of experienced players, different levels of experience, but experienced players nonetheless on both sides, and I think it's going to be who can get the best of it, whether it is some of these players like Jensen in the midfield and Summers for Lake Macquarie. As Hall, a little back heel there from Dag. And, realistically, it could quite well come down to those two number 6s, Laura Hall and Arnie Jensen, as to who can, get their team composed and just control the game. It's not necessarily about trying to find that next goal right away.
Yeah, that's right.
Evans here, option down the line, goes infield. Quick. Back to Evans again. And we drive it across from Hogg. Howard's there on the ball. Down the line of Baldry, who switched across. A little touch there from Casey, just a little bump on her, used body position well. She's done some outstanding shut-down jobs a couple of times. I've had the pleasure of calling her against Maitland, and you know the attacking threats that Maitland obviously possess with some of those players like Sophie Stableford and co, and to be able to out-muscle, out-position against players like Sophie Stableford is no mean feat, but Sarah Casey's got the ability to do that consistently.
And that is the thing about Lake Macquarie. They have a lot of good athletes in their team. They're very mobile. They're a very fit team, and they are hard to break down. And they really are determined to not let someone get a shot away. And it's really hard to play against. Sometimes that's a compliment when you're a team. In your first year, especially just starting to build something. There's that's a pretty good style to have. Is the style where even the top teams are going to be frustrated. It's hard to play against and. You're not just going to have, and you'd know being part of one of the top three sides at the moment, you go away to these games, especially away from home, and you know that it's just not going to be easy tonight on a cold night. It starts to play into your head as well when things aren't quite going your way, and they just keep turning up and grinding you out of it. And a lot of it is that mental space. Yeah, that's right. You don't come and play Lake Macquarie and think that you're going to, just win the game. It's going to be a battle. And anything can happen, and you really actually have to take control of the game and you get that first goal and continue the whole 90 minutes to be able to beat this team. I think it's a piece too, you look through the results and they haven't been, you have a look at Broadmeadow and Adamstown, they've both had some scores put on them. That hasn't really happened with this Lake Macquarie side, which I think in your first year is probably, I know finals were their target, even if they were to fall short of that though, I think there's a lot of positives they'll be able to take forward out of this season as House goes forward, tries to slide to the outside, bounces back off. Plenty of physicality around the edge of the box. Looking for options. She doesn't have any, so thinks about going herself, and Jensen's there and blocks it off. That's exactly what we're talking about. I think a block shot over this side. Jamie House has gone to the other side, and Lake Macquarie have blocked another shot. Ida Weston gets the outside. Last touch comes off Olympic. It does, and now Lake Macquarie will get a throw. And that's the thing, it wasn't just the block shot, though. I'm not sure who the defender was, but got their body right in the way so that House actually had to bounce off them. So, again, it's just that extra bump, that extra physical contact you got to go through. And, I mean, Gemma House is a seasoned campaigner at those sorts of things, but there's lots of other players where that's enough just to put them off next time they're looking for that player to get in their way and looking to avoid contact because that's their first thought rather than how do I get the ball in the net. Yeah, that's right. And as a striker, all you need is half a yard, but they're not even giving up that half a yard at the moment. Well, driven forward by Hall. Skewed clearance, doesn't work out. Baldry there, sweeps it up. Dag now. King making a run. Keeping Knight honest back there, and Knight just has to parry it across the sideline. Again, another great effort. Sarah King just turning up that pressure as she pushes deep into the attacking third. Looking for options to present on the throw. Down for Dag. Plays it back for King. King does well to cut into the box, takes a strike. Wasn't going to be on target, but it's picked off by Casey. Headed forward by Hogg. Another header on, again by King. Chipped into the box by House. Good defensive work there. Again, Casey just running the attacker off the ball, and her keeper had a clean take on that in Morgan Ross. Just lost eyes on that. Hogg managed to lob it forward. Alder with a little tap on header, can't find the target. Summers hustling, quick takes it away. Hogg drives it down the line. No runner there. Lakes will get it and trickle it across to the keeper in Ross. Not the best clearance, but worked out okay in the end. They've got it almost down to halfway, and then mix-up nearly turned it over. Oda Weston pressing hard on Evans. Yeah, you can see Ross just a little bit nervous playing out from the back there, obviously, from that first goal. A couple of the last touches just, trying to play the ball out too quickly or just getting, obviously, under pressure from Olympic as well. Just saying, a little nervy. King there again, just pushing through, getting a boot on now. A foot race.
Mitchell, I don't think there are many in the competition that would beat Sonny Mitchell for pace, but King was doing well to almost hold her own there. King with the throw. Dag. Beats one, beats second, can't get away from the third. She's sandwiched between Mitchell and Jensen. Now played back. Go forward, Mitchell again on the ball. Under pressure. They drive it forward now. Poke back towards Dag. Mann gets it to Jensen. Jensen playing it back to Casey. Talked about it before, Tara. Both these sides pressing very high and very hard.
Yeah, they're both very aggressive. And once they lose the ball, they're trying to win it back straight away. You can see this midfield battle at the moment.
That's what appeals from Lake Macquarie. I thought that one was just enough of the ball inside the line. And not often we're in the perfect position to be able to judge those, but I think the assistant referee absolutely nailed that one. It's always that old trick of, people remembering that it's got to go all the way across the line. The whole ball has to cross the line.
That's right, just like a goal. Has to go all the way across the goal line. Makes sense.
It does. It's simple when you put it like that, but, in the heat of the moment. Now, again, trap it with a strike across the face. Not far away at all, forcing a dive from Sienna Williams, who's had a bit of a quiet time in recent minutes.
Yeah, and it's probably the first time that Lake Macquarie have really gotten down that right side with Kimmy Trappett. Great ball across the face, a goal again. Just unlucky not to have anyone to get on the end of it.
Both sides comfortable. Maybe not comfortable, but both sides intending to play out from the back when they can. And they play it down this line. Olympic for Bouldery. That one definitely across the line. Assistant referee gets it again. Mitchell with the throw down the line. Working in close quarters. Jensen there, now Mitchell. McMahon, Bouldery, hustling, pressing. Jensen, calm and composed over the ball, turns to the outside, tries to put on the afterburners, can't get away from Bouldery. Bouldery earns her team a throw there, some good defensive efforts.
You could see Jensen on that one was trying to get down the left, trying to beat Bouldery so she could whip one of those left-footed crosses in again to see what could happen.
King with the throw, she's going to go long, looking for Quick. Again, go long down the line, looking for Bouldery. Aggressive play didn't quite work out. Quick against Jensen. Jensen chips it on. Loda Western not ready for it. Done well to keep it in there, Mitchell. Jensen gets up, Quick. Jensen gets a boot to it. Nice control there from Dag. Chipped forward, looking for Howard. Dangerous opportunity here. Strong collision. Thought the referee was going to let that one play on, but does pull it back for a foul.
Yeah, that was a tough challenge there. Thought she was going to let that one go. She took a little while to blow the whistle.
I'm going to think that she's just playing the advantage out. Casey now drives it long over halfway. Parried backwards and then chipped up in the air. King, not sure that's quite where she wanted that one. Knight hustling against her, gets a boot in and pushes it across. And the throwing goes the way of Lake Macquarie. Again, driven into the box. Nicely headed away. Hall with a tap on. Gemma House with a pirouette. I'm not sure whether that was intentional or not. I don't think so. Both sides working hard as we head towards the half-hour mark here. Mann driving forward, feeds it nicely into the box for an advancing Mitchell. She just can't quite control it, but the flag goes up for offside.
It was a great driving run from the centre defender there. Obviously, Olympic just weren't quite pushing up just enough. You know, they've been pretty on the ball the whole game and just let that one go and gave her enough space to drive through there.
Must surely be a little bit of a pause for thought, that one, for Coach Craig Atkins, because that's exactly, that sort of run is exactly what led to the first goal, and almost in the same corridor.
Yeah, that's right. I think he'll definitely want to try and stop that, you know, for the rest of the half, and obviously moving into the second half. But if I was like Macquarie, I'd want to continue to do that and try and make those moments happen more often.
Bit of a clip behind from Knight. Appeals for a yellow card half-heartedly from the Olympic bench, and that was one of those ones where it's just a tangle of boots more than any real intent to tackle.
I think we've had some good challenges tonight, and everyone's gone in hard. I don't think there's anything malicious about it. Yeah, been a good battle.
Yeah, I think 100%. That's sometimes the deciding factor the referee's got to look at, right, is what's the actual spirit that everything's happening in. And this has been a really good game of football so far. Played hard, but played well. Stag threads a nice ball. Now House gets the outside, can't control it. McMahon will push it across the sideline. It's been good watching Elodie Dag in the midfield playing on the ball here. Just her control of like mid-range passing is absolutely an asset to this side. That pass that she just played down there, she's played a couple of others through traffic as well. The way she can control that ball is, you know, there's not, you know, a huge amount of players at this level that are doing that so consistently as here she is again.
That's right, and I think she'd love being on this pitch where she knows that when the ball's rolling to, she knows exactly where she can take her touch, and the ball will roll true, and then she can obviously set herself up to play those types of passes.
Nice little tap on from Howard to Dag, back to Hall now. Yeah, I was just thinking, and again, you know, the last time we called them was last week on a very different pitch where she played quite a different role because of that. She was a lot more advanced a lot more of the time. It's King pushing forward. Hall now in traffic. Working and turns her opponent inside out. Nice close quarter touches. The pass doesn't quite find Bouldery, and now Lake Macquarie just meandering away through McMahon. We saw her make a good slicing run just before, driving towards goal, and that time it was a lot more casual, and everyone was just hanging off her.
Yeah, I think we can see that we're leading into the end of this first half, or towards where people are getting a little bit more tired, and probably not as much pressing and running forward as there was at the start.
That one's driven infield by House, and driven forward by Casey. Everyone's on the volley here. Played forward now, and here's Dag pushing forward. She's going to get a chance on goal, as she knows. She has to turn away. It's well shut down in the end. Not completely dealt with, though, but Casey does parry it away, and then Summers taps it on across the sideline. Yeah, you can certainly see that fatigue, and it's easy to forget when it's a little bit cooler like it is tonight, that this has been played at a pretty frenetic tempo. All that press defence, as you said. Just the effort, the end-to-end football as well. When you're pressing and then you're having to retreat back and get back to defend, and both sides have had to do that. It's threaded into the box again, but Ross has that nice and casually down on one knee. It's got to really sap the tank, so there's probably a bit of an opportunity for here if someone's got an effort or two in them in these last sort of 10 minutes or so of this half.
Yeah, we haven't had many stoppages, and yeah, as we said, that both teams are pressing. No one's got a lot of time on the ball.
Now we're starting to see a little bit more emotion coming in the game. Gemma House having a little bit of fun with her opposition bench. She's certainly not a retiring wallflower type, is she?
No, definitely not.
It is one of the things I like about some of these pitches where you do get close. You really get to sort of have a bit more of an understanding of some of the personalities of a few of the players. And there's a couple that particularly keep me entertained, and Gemma House has been one of those. Georgia Amos is another one of those.
Yes, definitely.
Are you sensing a pattern type here in terms of who I'm enjoying watching?
Fast little forwards.
Fast little forwards that are happy to back up their words and action with actions.
That's right, very, very strong ones too. Yeah, that's right.
It's a pleasure every week that we get to do this. It's sometimes hard to believe that this is a gig that we get turned up for and remunerated for every week to watch this wonderful competition, both the men's and the women's. And of course, all the games, not just the matches of the round, are live and free. First and reserve grade on the Northern New South Wales NPL as Arnie Jensen collides with Laura Hall, and a shot taken, pushed across just past the left post though. Laura Hall appealing for a foul, but it was just good, strong shoulder-to-shoulder contact. She's got a really strong centre of gravity, Arnie Jensen, when she goes into physical contact like that.
Yeah, very strong challenger, which from looking at, you probably could have, said either way. It would have been a free kick. But I have to say, shoulder-to-shoulder, good challenge and chance on goal there.
And a player down here. That low to Western, I think. Quite sure what it is low to Western. I think it just came from when she took that shot as she sort of slid, closing in on the ball late, getting it away under pressure. Hopefully nothing too serious, just a bit of a stinger. Bit of a jolt.
Yeah, and unlucky not to get anything out of that and even make the keeper, make a save. It was a great press by Arnie Jensen to create that chance.
Certainly was. She's been a standout in a couple of moments. Laura Hall would love to have that clearance over again, just skewed off the outside of the right boot. Now Lake Macquarie, what can they come up with here? A turnover was not what they were aspiring for. They get one back. All of a sudden, Summers cuts into the box. One-on-one with the keeper, pushes it past her. Brooke Summers has a double. That was calm, that was composed. And again, we talked about it just before, Tara, the fatigue just showing there, just that little touch back to the inside, and she was away.
That's right, and another strong press from Lake Macquarie, winning that ball back, Brooke Summers. A lot of composure in front of goal and just sliding it past the keeper.
Doubles her goal tally for the year. She was on 2 coming into this round, and funnily enough, against her former club, gets a double already, and knowing the way Brooke Summers goes about her business, she'll be very keen to be sniffing about, and she'd love to seal this win with a hat-trick and be braved back against her. She's had 2 chances and she's finished them both.
The next 5 or 10 minutes is really important for Lake Macquarie if they want to go into this half-time break. Obviously, with a 2-1 lead, that'll be really important for them going into the second half, and hopefully they can hold on from here. But obviously Olympic probably got a few chances that they want to take.
He certainly could be more twist in the tail this first half, let alone the second. As we, I should say, head into the last 10 or so minutes of regulation time here. I think up to about maybe 32, 33 now. Hard to really judge. The scoreboard's out of action tonight, so we're doing our own guesswork mostly here. Driven long. Good strong tackle there, McMahon. Casey drives it. King there again. Now Bouldery. Now McMahon. Advancing run. Tries to thread it down, but well broken up. King again there. Bouldery against Mitchell. Mitchell turns it in. Knight lays it off for Jensen. Close quarters work. Jensen drives it all the way back. Interesting to see a lot firmer touches starting to come into it. A lot of players looking for deft, close touches early on as Melody Dagg's going to press up on Morgan Ross here. She gets it away.
You can see Lake Macquarie have a bit of spring in their step now, a little bit more energy about them after that second goal.
It's amazing, a little bit of momentum sometimes. And interestingly, like when you have a look at where that run came from, Summers again, it's that exact same corridor, sort of in between. It's more in the midfield range, but in between where your wing back would be setting up on your 4 and your centre back, and they're just going through that corridor, and it's where there just seems to be some disconnect in the midfield and in the central defence, just as to whose job that little corridor is at the moment, because that's 3 times they've gone through there, and third time was the charm for the Roosters.
That's right, and I think Lake Macquarie obviously know that that's a strength of theirs and maybe a weakness of Olympic to try and exploit that area, when Olympic are trying to play out and play through the midfield, just those little pockets.
Yeah, well, we know that Olympic are happy to drive forward on those edges as well, so maybe it's just catching them back on that if they're peeling back and out when they're retreating in defence. A drop ball here, and we'll get back to things and going away. No, it will be a free kick given in the end. Lobbed into the box here from Trappett. Now headed downfield. Far from convincing from Olympic here, but it plays forward to House. She's going to try and get it down to Howard. They've hardly used that left edge Olympic at all so far, to be fair. Both sides not playing a lot on the far side of the field. Works really well for us, but
It does. It makes it a lot easier for us to see all the plays and see what's going on.
interesting to see whether they can engage some of those players, especially Howard, who looked really strong for Olympic when she came on last week. And had a lot of opportunity today as Summers gets into the box again, just a little too heavy with her touch, but you can see she's full of confidence after 2 first-half goals. Now Olympic, they'll choose to play it out from the back again. Driven forward. Casey's there with time. Jensen with space. Mitchell running an overlap down this side, and Jensen saw her but couldn't find the target.
Yeah, that one just sliced on the outside of her foot, but it was the right idea, that's for sure.
Goes over the sideline. Tara finally gets a touch.
About time.
I was going to say, well, not last time, I think one of the games we called here before, we were absolutely under fire for the whole 90 minutes. I don't think, you know, in my very limited soccer career that I played, I got that many touches or close touches as I did that night. Probably the drawback, as you will be, in regards to this position, is there was a few of them that were coming at us at rated knots as well in close quarters. Good to see Loda Weston back on her feet and moving around and getting into the challenges. With that earlier momentary concern. King on the Loda Weston. No, last touch off King, says the assistant referee. Mitchell to take the throw. Overdoes it a little. Up forward, but Hogg. Dag gets a nice header on it. Now here's Howard. He's come infield looking for some action. Dag. Interesting, we're seeing each time Melody Dag gets the ball, and they thread this down the line here for Nickel. We might come back to that in a moment. Nickel with acres of space. Feeds it into the box. House is there. Can't quite control the first attempt. And it's going to trickle across the line for a goal kick. You can hear Gabby Blanche instructing her team to hang back. She doesn't want them pressing too hard because she knows how good that close quarter control is, and that she can turn out of tight quarters, Elodie Dag, right, and then she's gone as well with the acceleration once she goes with it.
That's right. It's a bit of a tight line. You don't want to give her too much space, so she's got lots of options and lots of things to do. But you don't want to be too tight where she can just skip around you and still play forward.
A couple of opportunities she did have in the attacking third last week. It was just outside the 18-yard box. She did that a couple of times to a couple of young Broadmeadow players, and you can very quickly feel very foolish and a little dejected, I think, if that sort of thing happens to you too often. Here's Trafford again on a run. She looks strong each time she's had a chance to get involved. Crosses it into the box. Well cleared. King again back there at the back post. You can see that there's a moment of panic flash through the eyes of Sienna Williams. And a wing back was back there to clean up.
In Lane Macquarie, there's a few chances, across the goal. Kimmy Trappett's had 2. Arnie Jensen on this left-hand side. They got 1, obviously, goal from this left-hand side, and they've had two opportunities. I think, looking at half-time, they want to make sure they've got at least 1 or 2 plays in the box to try and get on the end of those.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you've got the likes of Kimmy Trappett and Arnie Jensen delivering those balls, more often than not, they're going to be pretty close to where you want them. Really good delivery at this level, especially those two. As this one goes forward, Bouldery will get to the outside. A little bit more rain comes down. Mitchell plays it back infield. McMahon composed, plays it on for Knight. Jensen with her calling for it. Defenders closed down. Mahon for Jensen. Jensen thinks about sending it down the line for Mitchell. Realised the defence had her closed down. Goes back to her American compatriot in Casey. She drives it forward this time. Picked off though by Nickel. Now Dag, nice little touch there, but doesn't quite find the target in-house. All of a sudden, numbers surging forward here. Trappett looking to get it into the box. Hogg does well to shut down low to Weston and push it across the sideline. No, not quite across the sideline. Second effort clearing from Nickel gets it there. It's almost like they'd heard what your proposed halftime talk was. All of a sudden we had two players surging through from deep in the midfield. And they were going to be hitting that with some intent too if they got that ball in, because they were still surging in. They weren't going to be sitting targets either.
That's right.
Ball still in play. Down the line. Dag. Sliding effort from Casey.
Definitely know as a striker, if my winger puts a ball in and I'm not there and I'm not in the right spot, I make sure the next time it happens I'm right there. So, you know, it's up to them to try and place the ball again, but try not to make the same mistake twice.
Yeah, I was going to say, might get to a point where they stop giving them to you if you don't turn up enough times, right?
That's right.
Ball played out wide now for Mitchell. She has to track back for it. Mitchell's got space on King. Plays it forward nicely for Knight. Hogg across to try and shut it down. Low to Weston on the ball inside the box. Under pressure, Knight can't quite control it. Try to slide and bring it back for Mitchell. Another throw for King. It's a fall for Dag, is under pressure. Ball spins out, slices away from Summers. Traffic racing up, but Evans will be there to take it away. Nickel with space. She's going to travel down the sideline. Lots of room offered to her. Tried to hang on to it, maybe a step too long, and some good defensive work in the end. Dunlop gets in there and breaks it up.
That was a great defensive tackle by Dunlop. She was 2v1 there, so she either had to go in and try and win that ball.
Summers down the line now. Can she turn provider? Jess Evans does well tracking back just to take that away, not give Summers room to get the cross in.
Yeah, some really good defensive efforts here. You know, one at this end with Lake Macquarie to stop that 2v1 happening. As I said, she had to win the ball, otherwise she would have been beaten out wide. So really good defensive efforts. And then up the other end with Jess Evans.
Yeah, we've certainly seen some really good efforts of defence. We've seen some really good forward play as well. This game's had a little bit of everything. I mean, we've had 3 goals, which you certainly can't complain about if you're a neutral, and some pretty solid goals too. Obviously, the individual brilliance of Summers. We had the bit of a mix-up at the back, which led to the Olympic opener, and that wonderful ball that came from Arnie Jensen for Summers first. And if I'm not mistaken, is this our first corner?
I think you could be right, yeah.
Let's see what they can do from the set piece here. Olympic have got the height advantage. This one's lofted up well to the back post. Dangerously brought down from the head. Second attempt, will it be? No, cleared away. Laura Hall gets to the ball and just parries it over the sideline. But that looked dangerous for a moment there. It was, you know, the other night it was one of the Achilles heel of both sides. They couldn't deliver well from the corner. That was well placed to the back post. So plenty of time for everyone to think about it.
That's right. I don't think you realise how important set pieces and corners are. Matilda's game last night, Slovenia obviously, you know, went down 3-0. I remember their 2 corners, the 2 first corners, left-footed in, and Tegan Mike had to punch both out, and they were both really dangerous.
It's one of those pieces, isn't it? Like a corner that isn't on target isn't much use to anyone, and it's just, you know, structuring another attacking raid potentially. But one that just forces some indecision, and I'll tell you what, that one had me asking questions with how high it went then as well, just lofting it up there and giving some time for decisions or indecision to be made. All of a sudden, Maddie Howard just tracking away, feeds it forward. What a ball for House. Can she get the equaliser? Yes, she can. Calm and composed finish from Gemma House, but the heavy lifting done by Maddie Howard down the left. She hasn't had a lot of involvement, but she sets up her skipper for a second and level the score.
Yeah, and I think that's the type of player Maddie Howard is. You know, as you've said, she hasn't touched a lot of the ball tonight, but she gets an opportunity. Through ball, Gemma House, great run between the lines and finishes perfectly.
Well, we know that the crucial goal that gave Olympic the momentum was in the shadows of half-time last week. Again, they get one here. And ties back up at 2-2. Lake Macquarie, though, not done just yet. Knight can't quite race that one down. And goal kick now. That one scored with just on 30 seconds of regulation time remaining in the half. We now go to stoppage time. Can someone find a decisive blow to take the lead going into the half? Have to feel a little bit for Lake Macquarie. They've done so well for 44.5 minutes, Tara, but unfortunately that's not enough, as we saw last week as well for Broadmeadow. Newcastle Olympic mixed up in the box here, and somehow Ross has come away with it. Matty Howard came in at 100 miles an hour. Again, no real malice in it, just both eyes for the football.
Yeah, and it's Olympic have got a little bit of energy now, obviously, after their second goal. I think that second goal was probably a little bit against the run of play. Obviously, Lake Macquarie was sort of starting to get on top a little bit, and then, you know, out of nowhere, you know, just a mistake, or obviously won the ball back, and Lake Macquarie a little bit out of position, obviously, with the Lions, and then, yeah, through ball, and that's how clinical Olympic can be.
Yeah, such a well-weighted pass, just split the defenders, and you know, if you want someone running onto that in this game, Gemma House is right at the top of the list that you're selecting from. And her finish against the keeper. Yeah, odds against, certainly, if you're a keeper one-on-one in that situation with a striker of House's quality. These sorts of situations strikers just love, one-on-one.
That's it. There's a lot of pressure, though, right? You know, one-on-one, I should score this.
The referee blows the whistle, and that does bring us to half-time. And look, it's had a little bit of everything, but realistically, on the balance of it all, there's no huge surprise that we're locked up here. Both sides have had moments. It's been a little bit of a chess match of strategy, end-to-end, high-pressing defence. Lake Macquarie will be pleased with what they've shown. Olympic will be happy that they got that second goal in the shadows of half-time. The big second half coming. What's the message of you, the two coaches, heading into the sheds?
Look, I think the second half will be about who can get that momentum back and hold it for the full half. Obviously, it swung a lot in this first half, and, you know, sort of Lake Macquarie on
That's the feeling. Progress. Momentum. Getting somewhere. That's what it feels like when you bank with Newcastle Permanent. With local experts and award-winning customer service. We're here for you, and we're here for good. Ah, yeah, that's the feeling. Progress. Momentum. Getting somewhere. That's what it feels like when you bank with Newcastle Permanent. With local experts and award-winning customer service. We're here for you, and we're here for good.
first half?
Maybe whenever.
Yeah. You. Welcome back to Lake Macquarie Regional Football Facility for the second half of the round, 16 match of the round. And I tell you what, the first half has certainly lived up to billing of match of the round on a Friday night under lights here at Spears Point. Chris McPherson and Tara Andrews bring you all the action. And Tara, well, it certainly had plenty of action. Had 4 goals as well just to cap it all off. But that was an enthralling 45 minutes of football.
Yeah, it was, and I think if that's anything to go by, it's going to be a pretty exciting 45 minutes. I think it's hanging in the balance a little bit at the moment, and either team can probably take control of this game and take the win. So it'll be an interesting second half.
Certainly will be interesting to see what comes from here. Both coaches have had their chance to address their troops and work out how they go about things in the second half. Just trying to identify. Can't see any immediate changes at the break, and that's probably unsurprising considering what we saw from the two sides in that first 45, but it's going to be crucial. The involvement or lack of involvement as determined by the coaches of these benches in the second 45. Some impact might come.
Yeah, I think at this stage, you know, both coaches probably didn't need to make any changes. Both teams are playing quite well. No one seems to be, you know, fatiguing too much. So I think for the first 15 minutes or so, we probably won't see any changes.
It's an interesting one. We talked about it last week, and it's always that decision or choice around, you know, when do you bring in fresh legs? If you bring on changes and manage to jag a goal, you look like a genius, but you can make the same changes and one slips the other way, which has nothing to do with the change, and then you start second guessing whether or not that was the right decision. Daniel Nickel feeds this out. House playing wide on the left to start the second half. Trappett drives it forward. Nice little 1-2. Trappett down the line. Summers, already 2 goals to her name. Feeds it forward, looking for low to Weston, but Hogg there and just happy to comfortably clear it away.
Yeah, and a good bright start from Lake Macquarie again. Forward runs, a lot of composure, moving the ball forward as well.
Sure. Gabby Blanche was quick to remind them at half-time that the job is only half done, and little lapses they had at the back end of that first half could be the difference here, as could little moments of effort, and like the one that's led to their first goal. This one spills out awkwardly for them. Mitchell tracking back, realises she has no options that are immediately presenting, so just pushes it across the sideline, and Olympic will have a throw. Got Maddie Thornton just down on her haunches. This looks like she's just trying to catch her breath.
Yeah, I think she had a heavy tackle here with Gemma House that probably took the wind out of her.
Throw in, looking to go into the box. Mitchell picks it off. Feeds it down the line where Quick gets a boot in. Either side able to string together too many passes. Mitchell ranging down, but Evans will just watchfully see it across the sideline. Referee just sending King back to take the throw a little deeper in territory. Can't quite find Baldry with the pass, but parried over the other side. See what, I'm wondering if Maddie Howard might be camera shy. She's switched sides and she's staying on that side. She likes the lighting over there a little bit better.
Yeah, it could be that, or she could have said maybe I didn't get the ball enough in the first half, and maybe if I switch sides, I might get it a little more.
Yeah, see, I was never game in any sport I played to try and, say, we're not getting enough ball on the left, I need to go on the right, because Murphy's Law is that's crossed dangerous into the box. House there, almost able to pounce, drives it into the defender in Mitchell, who blocks it, putting her body on the line. Now back to Hall. Plays it wide and picked off again by Mitchell, who'll range forward. Yeah, I always thought Murphy's Law would have said then that the ball wouldn't come to me on the other side if you go making those sorts of demands.
That is true. No, I think Matty Howard on that side will be able to cut in on a left foot and take a shot. That would probably be the science behind it, I'd say.
Well, to be fair, as we see Trappett lob this one into the box, the flag goes up against Summers, but we've ended up with just confused here. The assistant referee had his flag up. And now we're going for a corner. Everyone seems as puzzled as I am.
Very confusing.
And at the end of the day, the referee is the one who has the end say on all of this, but officials have been in the headlines a bit lately. We saw one of the local rugby union officials overrule both of his touch judges on a penalty kick at goal, which decided a game, I think, in the local Newcastle Hunter Rugby Union. Glad that our referees they've actually been one of the positive talking points this season, I've thought, in the games we've called. As this goes into the box, headed away, opportunity for Dunlop. She skews it off the outside, and Nicola will just watch that over the byline. Yeah, I have to say, it's been a constant talking point for us about how well the referees have allowed, a little bit of, and we were talking about it before, when players get into a bit of a battle. We're talking about this off air. Just letting players, if they're giving and taking the same and it's not impacting the play or denigrating from the play, then, allowing the football to do the talking. And our referees as a whole in the NPL across the season have been really good with that.
Yeah, and I think if you don't notice a referee, that means they're doing a good job, because you're not noticing it either way.
That's 100%. I think, fly under the radar is almost the team motto of the referees. They are essentially our 8th team in the women's NPL and our 13th in the men's. And when you think about the amount of work they put into their craft as well. Summers now to the edge of the 18-yard box. Does well to cut back away from the defender. Plays it back now, Dunlop. Pushes across. Thornton lays it back, and then it's lobbed forward optimistically. Arnie Jensen just with a composed, controlling touch. Thornton pushes it out wide, Mitchell. Olympic doing well just to present any real avenues. When he dag races forward, McMahon feints her out of it as she leaps to try and block what she thought was going to be a lofted ball before King just pushes that across the sideline.
Summers had a really good forward run here on this right-hand side, but she probably on 2 occasions has taken a touch backwards. I just want to see her be a little bit more positive. She's obviously scored 2 goals on a high, dribbled through for her second goal, dribbled through a couple of defenders, so a little bit more positivity in using what she's sort of got at the moment in this game to help Macquarie.
Must be a fine line. Again, we were talking earlier about the mental games of football, and as a striker, when you start to get a couple in, that you want to be obviously using your momentum, your confidence, but you also don't want to be overplaying your hand where everyone's just like, oh look, it's gone to her head, she scored a couple. I mean, as someone who has more than once or twice scored a couple, does it start to play into that, or is it just, no, I'm going to back myself now and I've got excuses if I've already put 2 in?
Yeah, look, I think it's a bit more of I'm going to back myself. I've scored 2 goals now. I'm feeling confident. The likelihood is, as a striker, hopefully I could score again. So it's definitely just back yourself. And I think, most of the teammates that you play with think the same thing. Someone's on a roll. They've got a confidence high. Let them continue.
That's how you go from 2 to 3 to 5 to 9. Is it not 9? Is that the best this year?
That's it, yeah. Stop passing the ball and just keep shooting.
What can we see here? Who can conjure one back and snatch the momentum in their advantage? It falls nicely here. Trap it. No. Pushes it across the sideline. And Olympic will... No. Lake Macquarie have got the throw here. Looking for Loda Western. Nickel tries to outbody. Hogg does win out. Just watching the one-on-one battles here. Is that one a little too firm from Loda Western? In almost every position on the pitch, Lake Macquarie giving away a couple of inches in height to Newcastle Olympic. Newcastle Olympic are a very tall side across the paddock.
They are. I don't think they're quite as tall as Charlestown. I think Charlestown probably have that over most teams with height, but yeah, the height difference is a few people getting a little bit more frustrated.
Some silly, unnecessary fouls maybe starting to come in now as that initial second half enthusiasm starts to wane as they get back into the arm wrestle. Casey lobs it forward. Mitchell keeps it inside the sideline, fires it back infield, and Maddie Howard wore that in the solar plexus, I think. Threaded into the box looking for Summers. Now, Hall advancing forward. Speaking about the mentality before too, Tara, and as you said, people look for that player who scored 2 or 3 already. You got to be cautious not to only have eyes for that player, though, right? Like, there's, you know, again, I think Summers wasn't in a great position there in the first opportunity to pass. Oh, we'll give it to Brooke. She's already put 2 in.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's what starts to happen. You know, defenders start to think, well, I'm going to get close to that play because I don't want them to score, which generally means that someone else is free and open.
Nervous back passing here from Lake Macquarie. They seem all of a sudden a little rattled with some of their passing, just rushing and forcing things that aren't there to be forced or needed to be. You know, this play down the line, but Casey's back there. Her clearance not as long as she might have liked, but effective nonetheless. Now Hall on the ball. That was a firm tackle, arm around the body. I think Hall was absolutely taken by surprise there. And Loda Weston just snuck from behind, just came flying through and took the ball away.
Yeah, really good defensive effort there from Loda Weston. Obviously, as a striker, sometimes you do try and just nip back to try and steal it off the defensive midfield, and she obviously did that really well just then.
Certainly did. Nickel can't control this. Jensen comes in, calls off a teammate in Trappett. Trappett on our run down the line and beautifully weighted through. Summers is there. Trappett cutting into the box. Summers, can she find her? Not quite. Hogg tracks back and just pushes it across for another corner. They look promising for Lake Macquarie. Nice little combo of a few of their experienced players in Jensen, Trappett and Summers.
Yeah, and Jess Evans seems to be the deeper defender, you know, in Olympic. It's not that they're playing with a sweeper, but she always seems to be that little bit deeper to obviously pick up the runs of, you know, these midfielders that are pushing up forward for Lake Macquarie.
She was doing the exact same thing last week, wasn't she, against Broadmeadow? It doesn't, as you say, she's not set up as a sweeper, but she's just dropping back into that pocket to try and clean up. Jensen now with the corner. Hit towards the back post. Big aerial challenge. Someone's come down and the referee straight away pulls things up.
She's just landed really awkwardly there after that header.
Just trying to work out, is that Maddie Howard? Whoever it is got up and almost ended up horizontal as they hit the deck. The 2 players went up together, bounced off each other and just skewed into a really awkward body position. Hopefully nothing too major. I should say hopefully just an awkward landing and a bit of the wind knocked out. Yeah, that's the one thing, this synthetic surface doesn't really have quite the same give as a bit of grass and dirt underneath.
No, there's
plenty of soft pitches around at the moment. This wouldn't be one of them.
No, many grazers have, you know, been gotten at these types of fields, at this field especially. I'm luckily not a slide tackler. Don't often slide, so I don't get too many. Unless I get taken out, so still hurts the body when you land like that, though.
Yeah. It looks like I just landed awkwardly on the shoulder. Fortunately, it was shoulder. Give it a chance just to catch her breath and hopefully be good to go again. Take all the force through the shoulder as well. Get that bit of a stinger running through there. So we'll see what the decision is, but for now, Howard will get some quick treatment, and looks like the physio's solution is the magic water. The rain comes again, it just keeps coming in waves.
That was probably a good little break for both teams just to reset, catch their breath and regroup.
Yeah, certainly. See a few, just as we're sitting and getting a few tempers just starting to fray a little, some cynical, silly fouls. So chance to reset, recompose, and see if you can come out of this better. House takes that away nicely, plays it out for Hall. Jensen gets in and picks it off Dag's boots. They come forward now. Baldry dropping it all the way back to Hogg. Now Evans. Threads it across. Dag again. Happy to work it back to Hogg. Hogg goes long. Little header on. Not quite sure what Gemma House was aiming for there, but trickles away and easily dealt with by Morgan Ross. Ross sends it long. King races forward, picks it off. Been good at timing those runs just to come through and pick those bouncing balls away. Turns it back over immediately. Now Jensen on the ball. Casey, ranging ball. Trap it. On for Summers. Nice turn in traffic. Goes again. Needs to try and find an option. Dunlop comes forward, picks up the ball. Cuts away from Dag. Tries to thread the needle, but can't find the target in Loda Western.
Summers has made that same run, just trying to pierce through between the left fullback and the centre back a number of times, and they've got a lot of success from that, from her forward runs. The link-up play between Trappett as well.
Loda Western just laid that back a little deep for her runner, who had to track back for it. You can see they're just trying to run those cutting lines, can't you, just inside those, the outside backs, the wing backs. Bring it back in. Shoulder to shoulder again. No, I'm going to pull that one up a little bit too much as Sonny Mitchell reels on the ground. Rain starting to settle in a little heavier. Need some windscreen wipers for the glasses shortly.
I think we had a comment it might have been sleet before, but I don't think this is sleet. This definitely feels like.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to name names, but I'm not going to employ that person as a meteorologist anytime soon.
I know there has been a lot of snow down, Mount Hotham?
Yeah.
Down, Victoria?
Tell you what, the way the chill is at the moment, it's not that hard push to believe that it's not, there might be someone at the Barringtons at the moment. Either that or I'm just getting older and more complaining more. It could be both, to be fair. Hall feeding it now. House can't control it. Has a bit of a swing with the leg, and the card finally comes out of the pocket. Certainly no stranger to conversations with referees. Gemma House likes to push the boundaries a little sometimes.
Does, very fiery.
Third yellow card for the season. Equal leader for the club. I'm not sure that's one that she wants to be leading with Jess Evans. I feel like centre-back's got a bit more of an excuse to be giving away a couple last line of defence sort of stuff.
Yes, I think so. Very fiery player, Gemma House, and she gets stuck in. She wants to win the ball back. She wants
Summers
to
away
goals.
here. Knight. Comes to feed it back to Summers, and again just overplays the hand. Yeah, some of those players, we talked about a couple of them before, isn't there? They really wear their heart on their sleeve. You're not left wondering, but again, they're sometimes the players that, the fans, like, especially when they're your player, you love to watch them, but when they're the opposition player, they're the one that you love to actually go and watch, to be, getting into watching for them to have that, step over the line and maybe melt down as well.
That's right. It's very exciting stuff, and I'm sure, when people come and watch, they're the types of battles that they want to see, from both teams, and a little bit of fire between the teams.
I know we're watching the reserve grade game earlier here, and there was a former Newcastle Jet wandering around in reserve grade who's a player who very much is one. This opportunity comes here, but well dealt with by Casey. famously, that when Central Coast returned to the competition 2 seasons ago, was the one that came in at the defence and honour of her teammates, came flying in, Alex Huon.
Yes, I think I said this last week, but I've seen her do some very epic slide tackles in my time and save some great goals.
Shot taken across the face of goal, and Ross does well to block it with the knees. Yeah, unfortunately, when you're known for epic slide tackles, every now and then one of them goes wrong.
That's right, and I don't know, is it Alex Huon that has the photo in the headlock?
Yes, I believe it is.
Yes,
yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, that might even be from that same game. I'm not sure. There's been some interesting ones over the time. There's been some players, as you say, that really take things on. Well, the Jets have had a bit of a record this year of racking up the red cards. One Sheridan Gallagher leads the charge. I think sometimes Shez might forget which coach he's playing.
Well, it'd probably have to be one of the seasons for the Jets with the most red cards. I don't think I remember a time where we got that many red cards.
No, I don't think so. I mean, it wasn't helped either. I think our keeper got a couple of ones this year, just last line of defence sort of stuff, or one where she might have just forgot that she was outside her 18-yard box.
Easy to do, I guess. I've never obviously been a goalkeeper and been in that situation, but reflexes. I have played netball before,
just
where
instinct.
the ball comes to my feet and I stick my leg out to try and stop it, and the umpire says, "Tari, you can't do that." So I can see how she'd make that mistake.
I love that even when you're making cameos in netball, the umpires know who you are. Like, local celebrity Tara Andrews. Dear. Yeah, it's one of those things. There's some things that are just ingrained, and if you've been a goalkeeper for a long time, and I guess it's probably one of those things that does just come back to muscle memory, right? It's like lots of things, especially when you're under fatigue and under pressure. It's why everyone trains hard, so that the muscle memory kicks in, just not outside the 18-yard box if you're a keeper.
And I mean, you are last line of defence, right? You're trying to stop the goals, so you'll do whatever you can.
Dag threading the ball through in behind. Bouldering now. Little slip and well defended. Tracking back. Is that McMahon? Wonderful work. I thought for all money she was going to score there, Bouldering. Now the opposite way. Summers ranging forward. Puts the ball out in front of Loda Weston. She's going to have to be quick to get to this. Well done. Off the line, Williams. She made the decision early, got out and cleared that away.
We've got opportunities at both ends now. This is really end-to-end stuff.
Players cartwheeling into each other down here. Gemma House, the referee, just looking back to make sure it cleared away. Gemma House just giving her opponent some feedback after I think she was asking the referee for a foul. Casey gets it up in the air. Nickel. And hear the emotion building with some of the commentary from some of the players at the moment. That one squirts wide and cleared away by Summers, who's slipping and sliding. I can imagine the traction out there starting to become a bit more of a challenge with this misting rain coming in.
Yes, and tensions are getting high. Both teams are trying to get control of this game, and obviously running the clock down. They need to get that next goal. Obviously, Olympic need this 3 points, and Lake Macquarie are trying to stay in this. So, getting really good stuff now.
Certainly is. Passions are high, tensions are high. And we're having end-to-end football. Throw in from Lake Macquarie. Dag. I think I just heard Georgia Hogg say, "I'm just yelling now, I'm not sure why." There we go. That's wonderful. That's wonderful stuff that you don't normally hear as a commentator. Points for effort, Georgia.
Yeah, trying to pump the team up. I think said some words before about getting some grit about them. So I think she's just trying to pump them up and give them a bit of energy.
Yeah, her choice of adjectives might not have been fit for publication, but that's okay. That's the passion. That's the hard edge centre backs, not mincing their words. I like it. As you said, the tempo is certainly turning up here. Both these sides know the old adage of that next goal is so crucial to all. Still quite a bit of time to go here. Over 20 minutes to play, but getting the upper hand and then turning the screws from here could be interesting. Nickel shepherds that over the line, quickly takes it away. Dag cops a bump, but keeps on. Howard does well to control it down with the shoulder. Plays it on for Dag. Casey racing back, and smart football there not to play the ball and just to run across and shepherd the player instead.
That's right, and with this rain, as you said before, the pitch is getting a little bit faster, and those straight balls probably aren't the best type. They're just going to run straight over the line. A little bit of angle on the ball and would have helped it out.
Nickel gets there, sliding forward. Little Western slides over her back. People slipping and sliding every which way at the moment. Again, you can hear Georgia Hogg just barking instructions at her team. Maddie Howard fighting tooth and nail. Kimmy Trappett draws the foul. Sarah Casey with the free kick. Brings it down the line. Nearly beats everyone. Falls on the pushback for Trappett. Now forward to Howard. Only Jensen tracking back. Howard tries to thread the needle. Not quite working out. Now she pokes it forward again. No runners there though. Emma House fighting tooth and nail. Summers back there defending. Falls for Hall. Plays it up for House, who goes flying over the byline after Casey slid through and got the ball. Some appeals from Olympic for a foul, but looked like a pretty good textbook tackle to me.
It was a very solid tackle, flying in there.
This is a high reward, high risk. If she hadn't got that wrong, looks like House still down though, so whether she did maybe get a little bit of her on the way through. It looked like she got both feet to the ball first, but as you say, it's solid contact, but it's one of those ones that if you can get the ball first, then it mitigates the risk. But going studs up is, especially in these conditions, easily going wrong. Dunlop, Jensen presents at the front. Pushes it across the sideline, can't control the pass. Nickel with the throw. Beats the leap of Bouldery. Jensen heads it on. Nickel brings it down. Tries to touch it away. It skids the other way to what she wanted. Summers gets it now. Feeds it forward. I think that was intended for Trappett, not low to Weston. And the moments of split decision doubt that come in these conditions. Low to Weston charges in and throws her body over the ball. And the referee might have just given her a little word on the run. Quick now. Players going down left, right and centre out here at Lake Macquarie tonight in the rain. Jensen comes in, gets the ball. Summers feeds it wide, low to Weston. Needs to hit the accelerator here. Jess Evans does well getting in over the ball. I'll tell you what, both sides are happy to still lay the physical challenges even in these slippery conditions with so much on the line.
That's right. I think that's what's needed, right? Obviously, both teams are trying to score here, so defenders have to make desperate tackles to not let these strikers get through.
Olympic now defending their hearts out. Jensen looking for a slip, for a mistake, for a gap. It's lofted forward. Trappett tries to get there. Nickel might have got a touch on it, I think. She did, and we'll have a corner. This is going to be challenging times. You couldn't really encourage me too often to be a goalkeeper at the best of times, let alone slippery, sliding conditions with the ball coming into the lights. Well, maybe I'm cut out for it. I've just come up with about 6 excuses for why I've just conceded a goal and it hasn't happened yet.
I mean, you can be the hero or the villain as a goalkeeper, can't you? I read a stat the other day about being a striker. You can play really, bad football for 88 minutes, and then you'll have 2 minutes where you score a goal and, win the game, and you're the hero. Bit the same with the goalkeeper.
Yeah. It's one of those ones, isn't it? Ball spills down, cleared away. I've never heard, not never, but very rarely heard a striker blame when their team loses 1-0 though. Keepers often cop that one. Driven forward by Casey, a bit of hit and ho. Lob back. Trapped down. Played forward. That's optimistic backing that Nichols has an extra 15 metres of pace on her. She has given away far too much head start. Dunlop tracks back and pushes it across the sideline. Howard presenting as an option deep, and that's where she comes, down the line. Howard's going to take on Trappett. Trappett with a rugby tackle there. My goodness. They're lucky that it's just a talking to. She wrapped both arms around, and I think the conditions certainly helped with the end outcome, but yeah, just like a front on rugby tackle.
Yeah, I think she forgot about the ball there and was just sort of going for the player.
Maybe she's a bit cold, it is a bit fresh, just wanted to warm up, get close to another body.
Bit of a cuddle.
Yeah, why not? Well, this is an interesting position here. Dag's going to be over the dead ball. Just in line. Actually, just a little closer to goal than the edge of the 18-yard box, but only about 7 metres in from the sideline. Pack racing towards the back post, numbers going through. Knight brings it down. Jensen tries to put it into next week. And we'll have a corner.
Well, I do know Kimmy Trappett's sister plays AFL. I'm not sure if Kimmy does, but maybe that's where she's got it from.
Maybe that's the risk that's going to happen. We've been talking about this. We've got players, Melina Ayres, we've got Maddie Galagos, with Gemma Simon playing rugby league.
That's right. Yeah, it's bound to happen, isn't it? These tackles.
I think the last couple of weeks, Gemma's probably had a few more minutes in rugby league than she has in football. So let's see what happens on this corner. Drifted in. Jensen there. Dag hits the deck, but play on is the call. So nothing in that contest. Jensen again, the one cleaning up. This one's pushed wide, looking for Knight against King, but can't control it. Goes over the sideline. King goes down the line looking for Baldridge. He taps it infield, but no teammate there. Jensen calling for the ball. Very demonstrative with her body language. Time ticking away. I was just about to say, we're yet to see a change. I think only 1 or 2 players really active in their warm-ups at the moment, so considering we've got under 15 minutes of regulation time remaining. Opportunity here. Jensen tries to do it all herself. Takes a shot from range. And what a goal! My goodness. Cutting back against the grain. Arnie Jensen from 25 metres out. Buries it in the bottom right corner and gives Lake Macquarie the lead.
And there we go. I talked about it at the start of the game. Goal of the week for Arnie Jensen, a few of those goals, and that's probably another contender for this week. Brilliant goal. Left-footed strike into the back of the net.
Did she have both feet off the ground when she hit that?
Potentially,
that is magnificent.
That was a strong shot.
We talked before about her physical presence and her passing, and I thought Gemma House is going to try and bang one from halfway now. Elodie Dag might. She takes a shot from range, just off target by a couple of metres. That would have been some response. Yeah, the athleticism that Arnie, such an unassuming presence, and then just she's so physical, so strong, good touch. Been a great pickup for this Lake Macquarie club this year.
That's right, and the control that she has with her power. She obviously just placed it into the right-hand side of the goal. To have that much power and that much control, it's a great skill.
It certainly is, and as we're inside the last 15 minutes now, the pressure firmly on Olympic. Dag takes a shot and bangs one back. Goal of the week, she says. I'll take goal of the month. Also from outside the box, and my goodness, we are being entertained tonight. Elodie Dag quickly levels the ledger, and we're back to 3-3.
That's right. They didn't have the lead for long. Olympic were obviously off the kickoff with Gemma House's strike. Wanted to get one back quickly, so that's another great strike from Elodie Dag.
Nothing of the postage stamp. What a finish in the end, and just finds its way to the back of the net. And we're into the last 12 minutes of regulation time here. Trappett feeds it forward. Summers, you feel like there's more twist to come in the tail here. Played into the legs. Nickel does well to block it off, and we'll have another corner. We hardly saw a corner for the first hour, and now they're coming thick and fast. Can Jensen go from scorer to provider here? I'll tell you what, not only have we been treated to a seesawing game, those two goals, the goal that Jensen set up earlier, Summers' individual goal, we have seen some absolute brilliance here so far today. It's hard to believe there's three sides sitting above these two on the ladder. Jensen hits it in towards the back post, headed away. Well dealt with there.
And you can see like Macquarie are flooding the box there, obviously trying to get as much pressure as they can with Jensen's left-footed cross right on the 6-yard box.
Yeah, and that was Elodie Dagg again stepping up to clear that away. And now Olympic, the first to go to their bench. Zoe Daly comes on. Former emerging Jets product. She'll replace Keela Baldry. Daly had some more physical presence, the youngster. Plenty of height, plenty of pace. Knows her way to goal. Joining the club mid-season. Reaching for that one there was Hall. Zoe Daly obviously got the fashion memo. She's got the gloves on too. Dunlop skews that one. Finds her opposite number. In quick. Now Howard out in front. Nickel turns on the afterburner. She races away from Trappett. How does she go once she gets the ball at her feet? Gets away again. Can she cross it in? No, Trappett comes in. And it'll go across the sideline. Shouldn't panic there, Kimmy Trappett. Now, Dag just pokes one in, no real threat to the goal across. This one on a knife's edge as we head further into regulation time. Wasn't exactly conventional from Evans, but she did get there. Low to Weston and Hogg. Hogg gets a body on and pushes it across the line. Gives on the ball. Now Dunlop will take the throw. Jensen crossed it across the top of the 18-yard box. It's just parried away. Now sits back for Dunlop. Interestingly, no signs of movement really on the Lake Macquarie bench. Sliding effort there from Laura Hall. Out in front for Daly. Casey's got the advantage in the foot race and she'll just play it down the line and across the line in the end. Nice and composed back there is Sarah Casey.
Yeah, I can start to see both teams fatiguing a little bit now through the midfield. Obviously, both teams taking more risks at the back and obviously pushing plays forward.
Interesting thing, can either side take advantage of those numbers pushing hard forward, going the other way on the counter? Have they got the juice in the tank? Dag into the box, numbers converge and close it down. It falls back for Howard, sitting deep. Now House puts it into the box, parried away for the time being. Oh, almost a mix-up between defender and keeper. Now Summers putting on the afterburners, tries to turn it back inside. Angle a little bit too tight for low to Weston, and the ball races down and crosses the sideline. It'll be a Lakes throw. You see, after that extra effort there, a little bit of a hobble for Brooke Summers. You know, seeing some jackets come off on both benches. We might see some more changes coming momentarily, I think, Tara. Daly now. Howard crosses it, looking for House. House v Mitchell, touches back and Jensen gets involved.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I think we said we got our first change at 12 minutes to go. So obviously both teams are quite happy with what they had out of the park, but now we're seeing more players fatigue and more changes to come.
Loda Weston tries to feed it in. Evans doesn't quite clear it, but goes as far as Hall. Out in front of King. I'll tell you what, someone who's got through plenty of effort and metres and work today is King. She's turned up every time she's been called upon. Hall. Working it across now.
You can see the field starts to spread. There's more gaps now. Players to push forward.
Trappett, the hit and hope for, looking for Loda Weston. Hogs back there. Will she play it back to a keeper? She does. City bench imploring their team to push up and push forward and resume that press. I feel like there's a few fuel gauges ticking towards empty at the moment, Tara. We saw it at the end of the first half where a few little lapses gave the opportunity. Now House threading it forward for Howard. Howard will pick it up on the edge of the 18-yard box. But the flag goes up for offside. A change. Trappett will come off.
That'll be a welcome break for everyone just to catch their breath and get back into their shape this last 10 minutes.
Certainly will. Indiana Moyes comes in. Summers racing forward. Moyes, the fresh change, racing. Look at the pace difference. Western couldn't control it though, and it's just parried away for now. Hit off the outside of the boot. That's not quite what they're looking for. Late Macquarie. Summers appeals for handball. She's cut into the box though. Referee says play on. King there again, breaking up the play. And you just see after that initial exchange when players get into close quarters, there's no second and third efforts. Both teams just get out on their feet. They don't have those extra bits of intent and effort available to them.
Yeah, and this whole game has been very intense. I think, you know, the whole probably 80 minutes that we've played up till now, players have been running, pressing hard the whole game, so I can understand why these fuel tanks might be a little bit low now.
Very much could come down. We've obviously got fresh legs, but it could come down to a moment for one of these players just to find something deep that sits in reserves that you might not know you have. And that can be the game breaker at this stage. Inside the last 5 minutes of regulation time, Daly fighting tooth and nail. She wants to take the throw herself.
This is when you want those players to step up, you know, your Elodie Daggs, your Gemma House, to do something special and maybe get a goal for you when you've got tired legs, you know, on the other team. You know, maybe Arnie Jensen come in again. Brooke Summers breaking the line.
Yeah, as we see the foul go against Laura Hall, just coming in at a rate of knots, and referee judging that it's a little bit more than that. I'm not sure what's happening here. The referee now having a consultation with her assistant referee on the far side. Again, the players will probably be happy for the stoppage. We're good to go. Time ticking down. Who can conjure something? You feel now on the balance of things that a share of the points wouldn't be an unfair result for either side, but they'd both like to walk away from here with 3. Now, if Lake Macquarie can do it, it starts to liven up that top 4 race. If Newcastle does it, it almost shuts it down. Now Dag with room to move, threads it forward, time and space available. Howard feeding it into the box, looking for House, just underhits it a little. And Ross comes out for it. Push forward by Nickel. Lobbed into the box, headed away partially, not completely dealt with. Dunlop and Jensen, neither of them can actually take it. Dag now. Crossed into the box. Wide of the target though. Double change coming for Newcastle Olympic. The first is Montana Quick for Emily Hingston. And then will be Olivia Weeks coming on for Maddie Howard. Hingston and Weeks on. Quick and Howard off. Heading down towards the end of regulation time here. All locked up. Just over 2 minutes remain. understanding at the moment is that we'll have around about 3 minutes of added time. So 5 minutes in total for someone to conjure something and split the difference. It currently sits at 3-all. It's been a game that's had plenty of everything. It's been played in some really good intent. We've had some wet weather, we've had some dry weather, we've had a little bit of everything in between. We've had phenomenal goals from range, phenomenal individual goals, and wonderful team goals. And it almost sat there for the change of weeks, but cleared away for now. Nickel will race back. Nickel feeds it on. Nice little 1-2 working towards. Weeks comes in. Moyes trying to get there. Turns it over though. Over hit. Weeks again. Weeks comes to the outside. Feeds it in nicely. Nickel threads it forward for House. House can't quite get the touch, and racing back is McMahon. It almost looked like the chance for Olympic, but they now have the set piece. And we touched on it before. They've got plenty of height to throw forward into this box.
Really important corner here, and obviously Olympic are just going to want to try and get something on this. Get some type of shot at goal.
Dag to take it. They have a short corner option present but covered. Hogg pushes in to give another option in the box. Cross from the corner, a little too heavy, punched away. Not completely dealt with. Daly now turns back against the grain and can't control it. It goes across the byline. The experience of Jensen just uses the body position to allow it to come off Daly and go across the line. Now go into stoppage time. 3 minutes of stoppage time.
And there's the pitch again. Elodie Dag just slipped after controlling that ball.
Back to her feet now. Can she feed it into the box for a target? Daly racing forward. She just overcooked it a little. It was the right idea. Daly would have had at least a foot of height and probably a pace advantage over Sonny Mitchell as they charge into the box. Late change now. Maddie Cerrone coming on for Caitlin Knight.
It's about 2 minutes left. I would have thought that change is nearly slow the game down and maybe try and get.
I think Macquarie just happy to settle for the point. And it feels in the last 2.5 minutes that it's been Olympic just pushing the advantage, right? They're the ones trying to dig deep, trying to find that little bit extra. I'm sure Gabby Blanch and the team would have loved 3 points as the rain comes again, but maybe that is the case. That said, they didn't waste any time with that change, so normally those time-consuming ones are a little bit slower, more deliberate. They look like just an injection. Olympic now controlling the ball, though. Evans feeds it forward, parried back at them. Peels for a foul, and all of a sudden numbers pushing forward. Nickel's up. And Nickel feed it into the box. Inside the 18, and out to it nicely is Morgan Ross. Morgan Ross taking her time. She goes long. Big clearing kick. Evans gets ahead to it. Jensen brings it down. Dag. Evans back to Dag. Feeds it infield. Moyes leaves it. Sorry, Hingston leaves it. Now we go across, low to Weston, beaten for the challenge. Evans sliding in. Could this be the last roll of the dice for either side? Certainly. Late Macquarie work to do here. Can they grab one late and take 3 points? Jensen, everyone standing and watching. Into the box, cleared away. Hogg with the boot. Hall now. Drives it forward, hitting and hoping out wide. Daly racing across, but it's going to beat everyone across the sideline. Macquarie now with the throw. It ends up going the long way back. Casey pushes forward. McMahon drives it over halfway. Evans gets forward, heads it down. Both sides seeming more optimistic than designed at the moment. Summers, she's got 2 goals already. Feeds it across. Arnie Jensen with space. Is this where it comes? Feeds it out now. Opportunity. Back to the other post. Summers tried to get aerial there, but it wasn't to be. No separation under lights at Lake Macquarie Regional Football Facility. Lake Macquarie battled with heart. Olympic couldn't quite find the late killer blow, and both sides will leave with plenty to think about after an enthralling 90 minutes. Tara, is that a point gained or 2 points dropped, depending on the shirt you're wearing tonight?
Oh, look, I think that's a great performance by both teams tonight. I think they'd be happy with their performances. I think both would feel like they could have got the 3 points tonight, but what a game. We saw some great goals tonight. It was a real joy to watch.
Yeah, I think Newcastle Olympic coming into this game would have been certainly aiming, hoping and planning for 3 points, but they couldn't be disappointed with the effort they put in. The Lake Macquarie side, without a couple of their key players, this is exactly what we've talked about, where they've probably been unfortunate not to have gotten more points. They came up against a very good Newcastle Olympic side today. That was shown by when they took the lead late in that second half, and then all of a sudden the equaliser came at the other end from phenomenal goal to phenomenal goal, and both of those will undoubtedly be amongst the highlights for the week, the month, and possibly the season from Arnie Jensen and Dag. So it's been an enthralling game. 3 goals apiece, a well-deserved draw for both sides, and well worth tuning in on your Friday night. Don't forget to stay tuned to the Northern New South Wales Football's YouTube across the weekend. Plenty more football coming. You can even watch Tara Andrews in action tomorrow up against Maitland New Lambton. That'll be another enthralling game of our NPL women's. But all the first grade, all the reserve grade, men's and women's, live and free across the season. But on behalf of myself and Tara Andrews, a big thank you for tuning in. We look forward to bringing you more football coverage over the remainder of the season.
See you next time.